Thank you very much, Omar.
So we've seen that letter in the public domain. I don't know if you have been given a formal response. Do you have a copy yet? Has it been sent to you?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so what's your response?
Well, I think that it's clearly an indication of a lack of commitment to transparency on a significant matter of public interest that also borders on accountability on the part of the presidency. And I think essentially what has happened is a misinterpretation of Section 5 of the RTI law to decline what I believe is a matter of public interest. And I really cannot understand why the president would, or the presidency would have any challenge in releasing the report, given what has happened in terms of he communicating his decision on the report and giving directives on the report.
Okay, but the president's view is enshrined in law, isn't it? He quoted the necessary provisions in the Right to Information Law, Right to Information Act, for which reason you are not allowed to have that information. You cannot blame the presidency. You cannot accuse it of hiding anything when it's actually coming under the law.
Well, as I said earlier, I think it's just a misinterpretation of either deliberately or indeliberately a misrepresentation of that particular section that is referenced in the president's letter. Because I mean, if you read that particular section 5, all the provisions under that section, it clearly should tell you that the president is talking about a different thing altogether. Because under that section, we are talking about if a report is being prepared to be submitted to the president or has been submitted to the president for consideration. You know, that is the first part of it. So are we talking about a report that is yet to be submitted to the president? No. Are we talking about a report that has been submitted to the president but yet to have its consideration? No. We are talking about a report that has already been submitted to the president and the president has done his consideration and deliberation and so on, and has come out to communicate, you know, his decision on the same report. Now, if you go beyond that, it talks about, you know, again, if the report contains matters, the disclosure of which will reveal information concerning opinion. The president has already disclosed, you know, matters related to the report, or an advice, deliberation, recommendation, minutes, or consultations made, all given to the president or vice president, and it doesn't end there. And he says, if it is likely to undermine the deliberative processes on the part of the president or the vice president, or if it will prejudice national security. This is all that, you know, that Section 5 is talking about. But like I said, we are not talking about a report yet to be submitted to the president. We are not talking about a report that the president is yet to consider. We are not talking about a report that the president has not already shared an opinion on it. We are not talking about a report that the president has not deliberated upon yet. And so on what basis do you go under this section to then say we cannot disclose the full report as we are told? So I just think that is a lack of commitment to transparency and certainly an abuse of that particular section of the RTI Act.
But they said that the portions that are relevant and necessary for the public consumption, they have put out. Everything else, the assumption would be then that whatever they have not put out is not meant to go out. And that's a position they keep hammering, actually, in that particular position that was espoused in the statement.
Well, no, I think what they say or consider as relevant portions, that is according to the president or the presidency. Why don't you give us the rest of it, which may not be relevant as far as the president is concerned? So that, okay, we can also look at the aspects that the president considered irrelevant. I think it's irrelevant. Why should there be a problem in disclosing it? And again, we are talking, if you look at subsection 2 of section 5, it talks about information which contains factual or statistical data is not exempt information. And we are talking about an audit report. I believe that we are talking about a factual report. We are talking about a report that contains data on what SML may have done, the contract amount, the volumes, and so on and so forth. And if you look at Section 17, it talks about when the matter is of public interest, then we cannot also hide under, issues of exemptions to deny the public what they are entitled. And I believe this is a matter of significant public interest. We are talking about a contract that involved a lot of legal breaches, a contract that was awarded, and for 2-3 years, the executioners of the contracts were operating illegally. They never got PPA approval, and subsequently got a PPA approval, and that one we don't even know whether it was under sole sourcing or competitive bidding. And it was at that time that a ratification was done for the previous illegalities that had been committed. And besides, we are talking about a contract that has cost this nation so far over $1 billion cedis. This certainly is a matter of significant public interest, a matter that Parliament has acted upon, a matter that the President himself commissioned an audit, a matter that has generated so much public interest and public controversy. So I don't know what is in the report that the President would want to hide from the general public. And that is why, for me, as I said, it is a lack of commitment towards accountability. And it's important to remind the President and the Presidency that it's not just enough to tout your credentials as the one whose government passed the RTI law. It is not just about the passage of a law. It is about the effect of the law. It is about compliance with the law. So what is the point in passing a law and saying, well, passing the law demonstrates your commitment to transparency and accountability when you are not prepared to oblige, or to comply with that same piece of legislation?
Are you going to write another request making your points the way you have made them, or you just giving up on the presidency?
No, I don't think that we can give up. We're at a point in our nation where public interest advocacy just has to continue. We know the frustrations will come, the impediments will come. Unfortunately, the same RTI law makes provision for, persons who are not satisfied with certain decisions to take, the next steps. We still have the option of going to the RTI Commission. And even at that point, if we are still unsatisfied with the decision of the Commission, we are at liberty to go to the High Court to seek remedy for whatever we think we disagree with. And so those options are certainly going to be explored because, as I said, it's a matter of public interest.
Very well. Before you go on a different issue, yesterday we saw the cameras in the court when the anti-LGBTQI issue was raised in the courtroom, the Supreme Court. And that was after the Attorney General made a request to the Chief Justice to allow the cameras in. So the proceedings were live. Subsequent to that, the Attorney General said he actually wishes that we would have more of that, where there are lots more cameras in lots more courtrooms. So Ghanaians who are supposed to be in the public gallery anyway would get to be in the public gallery, but from the comfort of their homes where they are watching on their television sets or in their mobile devices. You have been quoted elsewhere saying that would be wrong. I mean, for someone who represents a media foundation or media organization, why are you opposed to something that appears to be progressive in the media space?
Well, I haven't seen where that quote is coming from, but if indeed that is what I'm quoted to have said, that then is a wrong quotation. And I'll be happy to have an audio or a transcript of whatever I may have said, which fairly and truthfully represents that.
Oh, okay.
My position was that yes, it is important. It allows for transparency and all of that. But we also need to appreciate that we are dealing with, matter of, justice delivery. And so it isn't something that I believe right on the word go right now. We say, in the courtrooms, cameras should be there from today onwards. The Chief Justice should open up and allow cameras to be in the courtrooms without any mechanisms put in place to ensure that we do the right thing, they do the right thing. And I remember saying yesterday that I don't want a situation where eventually a lot of journalists are being hauled for contempt of court because, they'll be accused of not doing what they have to do. I don't think that I am opposed to it in principle, but I think that we have the right steps must be taken to get us there. And I made the point that nowhere in this world I don't know of anywhere in this world where all courtrooms allow cameras in. In the U.S., a number of states have allowed that, but even so, there are mechanisms in place that journalists who are in there to cover cases live must follow. And before we do that, we need to put those mechanisms in place rather than saying, "Oh,
what is your fear, and what are these mechanisms you're hoping should be installed?" So the camera is live, everybody's watching what's happening. Why would there be an issue of contempt coming up from there when all I'm doing is to let the camera roll and people from home will watch and decide what they make of whatever they are seeing? If they were in the press gallery or the public gallery, it is the same thing they'll be seeing. I'm trying to get your exact difficulty with putting the cameras in all the courts.
I think it is important on a matter like this to look at the various arguments that people have put forward for and against a practice like that. If you take the U.S., for example, there's a history of the Supreme Court having to reverse a verdict of an appeals court on the basis that the person convicted said, because of the presence of cameras, he thinks that witnesses, behave in a way that they ordinarily would not have behaved in that same way. As a result of which he thinks that he never got a fair trial, and the Supreme Court upheld it. If you take the UK, for example, the UK Supreme Court, I mean, they also have media, and to be honest and fair, then they even have stronger media organizations in terms of capacity and all of that. But what the UK Supreme Court does is that it has by itself mounted cameras that are able to record proceedings live. And after that, you can go on the Supreme Court website. So you have UK Supreme Court live, where you can watch proceedings, and the media can then decide to pick up whatever they want to pick. And the point I'm making is that justice delivery is quite complicated. I don't wish for a situation where this morning, for example, I think I watched a clip or read a news item which was about watch how the Chief Justice had a banter with Thaddeus Sorry, and there was a lot of back and forth. I don't think that the judiciary would want these things to happen. Those who oppose that practice say, look, cameras in the newsrooms in the courtrooms may sometimes intimidate some lawyers, may sometimes get justices to even behave differently, may sometimes get witnesses to behave differently. And Omaro, sometimes you go and interview somebody just by having a camera in front of the person, that person feels jittery and all of that. So all those are considerations that we have to avert our minds to.
Okay.
And therefore, if we are going that route, what are the steps that we have to take to ensure that we don't end up, compromising justice delivery, getting journalists into trouble because you are not supposed to do this, you are not supposed to do that, and of course, how polarized our media environment is. The partisanship and so on and so forth.
I'm not supposed to disagree with you, but I disagree with you. But thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you, Mario.
That's Suleiman Abrahima. He's Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Howard, what else do you have for us?
Now, the Vice President and flag bearer of the governing New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has indicated that